The summer movie season is heating up, and all eyes are on James Gunn's Superman.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
The summer movie season is heating up, and all eyes are on James Gunn's Superman. Anticipation for this big screen reboot continues to grow, with Warner Brothers releasing a brand new trailer that gives us a bit more insight into the movie's plot and the relationship between David Cornsweet's Superman and Rachel Brosnan's Lois Lane. But really, it's all about the villains. The new trailer not only showcases Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor, but also characters like Maria Gabriela de Faria's Engineer, Gunn's creation the Hammer of Baravia, and the mysterious Ultraman. It all begs the question, who is really the villain of Gunn's Superman? Is Lex taking a backseat to
Hold on, Ultraman is in the story? I didn't know that.
some of the DCU's other baddies? Let's explore the many villains featured in Superman and how these characters all fit together.
I will not accept that.
One of the newcomers in the latest trailer is a hulking armored character called the Hammer of Baravia. Don't worry if that name doesn't set off any DC continuity alarm bells. In this case, Gunn isn't adapting an existing character from the comics, but rather inventing an entirely new villain for David Cornsweet's Superman to battle. It's an interesting choice given how vast DC's character library is and the fact that the large majority have yet to be touched by the DCU. The character was actually first teased in some of DC's promotional material for the film. A faux Daily Planet newspaper features the headline, Hammer of Baravia creates havoc downtown. We seem to be seeing that conflict play out in the trailer, as the Hammer trades blows with Superman and unleashes a devastating laser attack.
I hear that people are genuinely hating on this version of Superman because he's too emotional. Like, for example, that one scene where he when he gets angry at Lois Lane for being a neutral party. You know, they were asking him why he saved those people, and he just didn't understand why you'd need someone's permission to go save people. You know, that's the good thing, right?
It definitely appears that the Hammer of Baravia is relying on technology to
Also, am I too close to my mic? Am I too loud? I don't know.
even the playing field with Superman. This seems to be a soldier wearing a weaponized battlesuit. The suit reminds us of
Song
nothing if
requests.
not the Zaku from the various Gundam series. This suggests that the director and his design team have taken a lot of inspiration from Japanese media for their Superman villains, even as Superman himself seems to draw more from the classic Silver Age comics and the graphic novel All-Star Superman. This movie is shaping up to be a unique fusion of Eastern and Western
No
elements.
worries, Stabs.
Based
I
on
was
what Warner
actually
has
2
revealed
minutes
about
late
the Hammer
myself.
of Baravia so far, we know that this character represents the fictional nation of, you guessed it, Baravia, which at the time of the film has recently invaded the neighboring country of Duranpur. Superman has just intervened to put a stop to the war, drawing the Hammer's wrath upon Metropolis. We can see the scenes of that invasion playing out in the trailer, and we also get a sense of the serious political fallout that Superman creates by interfering with said war. Even the US Secretary of Defense is breathing down his neck. This makes it clear that Gunn's Superman will explore the challenges Kal-El faces trying to be not just a force of good inside Metropolis, but on the world stage. He is doing his best to protect all innocents and creating an international incident in the process. In that sense, the new film seems to share a little in common with Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman, which also dealt with the unintended consequences of Superman.
Yeah, I put the camera over there so it looks like I'm actually watching the damn video and not looking away, like over here. So yeah, I hope you guys like the new camera angle. I'm working to buy a new lighting system so that y'all can actually see my face.
And operating outside the boundaries of the US. Let's just hope this doesn't also result in Jimmy Olsen being shot in the head in the film's first act. After barely appearing in the first teaser trailer, Maria Gabriela de Faria's character, the Engineer, plays a much bigger role in this trailer. We get a close glimpse of her nanotech-based powers, and it's clear right away that she is no friend to Superman's. It's a bit of a role reversal for the Engineer compared to her comic book counterpart. In the comics, she's a member of the superhero team called the Authority. The Authority are never painted as outright villains, but they are depicted as a much more proactive and militant alternative to the Justice League. They're far less concerned with things like collateral damage or national sovereignty. In that sense, it's easy to see why Gunn would want to include the Engineer, also known as Angela Spica, in his film. The new Superman movie is all about the conflict between Superman's brand of old-fashioned heroism and a new generation of a more cynical hero. We see that conflict embodied even in Superman's costume, as the angular S logo is borrowed from the graphic novel Kingdom Come, which also dealt with such themes. But again, it's up for debate as to whether Angela qualifies as a hero at all in the DCU. The trailer makes it plain that Angela is working for Luthor, and she seems all too eager to take on Superman in the field of battle. We see her battling the Man of Steel in the middle of a baseball stadium, and we also see her tearing into Superman's loyal robot servants in the Fortress of Solitude. Even Krypto isn't safe from her wrath, though he gets in a good hit on his own. We assume that the engineer, like Luthor himself, believes herself to be on the right side and believes that Superman is a threat to humanity. Will she have her mind changed by the end? Possibly. We know that Gunn is at one point planning an Authority movie to spin out of Superman, though that project seems to have been put on the back burner. Still, we imagine Superman is the start of a larger storyline for De Faria's character. The engineer seems to be looking for Lex Luthor in the movie, but we also see her fighting alongside a mysterious masked character who's been the source of plenty of speculation in recent months. Is this character the DCU version of Ultraman? That's definitely the prevailing theory, both because the large U emblem on his chest and the fact that he clearly—
Why does it look like Black Noir? Like, bro's got that Black Noir vibes. He's gonna take off the mask and he's gonna be showing like, yo, I'm your genetically engineered clone near perfectly.
He has the strength and durability to
like
trade
Black
blows
Noir.
with Superman himself. But if this is Ultraman, the movie is definitely taking a loose approach to the source material. Traditionally, Ultraman is a version of Superman from an alternate DC universe. He hails from Earth 3, a world where the traditional dynamic between DC's heroes and villains is reversed. In this world, Ultraman is the leader of an anti-Justice League known as the Crime Syndicate of America, a group that also includes Superwoman, Owlman, Power Ring, and Johnny Quick. Earth 3
Bit of a controversial take here, but in my personal opinion, Owlman is a better he's a better alternative to Batman Who Laughs. Basically, if you've got the opposite of Batman, it would be Owlman, not the Batman Who Laughs. Personally, this is a personal take.
Lex Luthor is that world's greatest hero. Outlandish as it may seem, we have to wonder if there's an element to Earth 3's Lex in Holt's version. He obviously sees himself as Earth's greatest hero in any case. With everything else going on in Gunn's Superman, we highly doubt the film is going to be delving into the DC multiverse. It's more likely that Ultraman is being reworked to become something more akin to Nuclear Man from 1987's Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, or some versions of Bizarro from the comics. He could be a character who's been genetically engineered to mimic Superman's powers. The fact that we can't see his face or any part of his body may mean that—
Who's Owlman? Bro, Owlman is basically the most goated alternative villain to Batman. I mean, he's not goated. He literally tries to destroy all of humanity. But, like, he's cool, alright? He's genuinely cool as hell. He's like Batman if he was genuinely just showing depression. Alright, no, I didn't make a very good case for him, but he's just cool. He's definitely, to me personally, for my personal taste, he's better than he's better than
he was horribly—
the Batman Who Laughs. Also, Stavs is telling me to check my DM. Let's get back to it.
disfigured in the process, and is the perfect setup for a dramatic reveal with Corn Sweat behind the mask. Physically, it's looking like Ultraman, not Lex, is the endgame villain of Gunn's Superman. The Man of Steel will have to contend with a villain who has all of his strength and probably none of his morality. And if previous trailers are any indication—
Nah, I just fixed some stuff. We're back.
Kal-El is going to get seriously banged up in the process. The new trailer showcases the massive scale of the superhero movie. At one point, we even see buildings toppling over like dominoes. As much as Superman is devoted to saving innocent lives, Metropolis may end up with a body count to rival the climax of Man of Steel if he isn't careful. The problem is that Kal-El isn't just fighting humanoid villains like the Hammer, Baravia, and the Engineer in this movie. He's also got a giant monster problem. We see him battling a kaiju that would be right at home in Legendary's Monsterverse series or the Pacific Rim movies. Another scene harkens back to the original costume reveal that Gunn released in 2024. That image showed Superman suiting up while a mysterious and very massive monster terrorized Metropolis in the background. That scene will apparently play out in the movie itself, though based on these trailers, we know that Lois Lane is also present. We'll get to the unusual relationship between Lois and Clark in a little bit. The big question here is why Superman is fighting so many kaiju in the movie. Is there a reason these beasts are rampaging through Metropolis?
My PC
is
is
just
not
an average
$50.
Tuesday for the DCU,
it's at
or is
least
something
100,
or someone
right?
summoning them? Holt's Lex Luthor seems like exactly the sort of guy who would manufacture a kaiju crisis to make Superman look bad. On that note, let's finally turn our attention to Lex Luthor himself.
Wait, hold on. So how many villains
This trailer
does this
makes
guy
it clear
have?
that Superman will
How many villains does this movie have? I'm not gonna search it up. I'm just gonna fix this a little bit. There we go. That should be better now.
have no shortage of enemies to punch in his latest big screen outing, but it doesn't appear that Holt's Lex Luthor will be among them. There's no need for Lex.
Is my GPU $1? Bro, I don't have a GPU. I don't have one. I just don't. You know what? I'm gonna show you guys my PC build. This absolute godsend of a PC build. Alright, I'm rocking the Intel i7 4th generation, and I'm rocking the no GPU build. And by I mean no GPU, I mean absolutely nada. None. None. None to speak of. Alright, I picked up my my webcam. Now I gotta fix it. Hold on. Hold on. I made a big mistake. I made a big mistake. Don't look at that too much. That's just my laundry. I just did that. Oops. There we go. Up. Hold on. Let me just tap that over there a little bit. That's. Wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, that's good. Alright, there we go. There we go. Back.
To don his iconic green and purple armor to take on Superman directly when he has so many other pawns.
With no GPU. I thought it would be cool. Yo, I would upgrade my PC if I had the money to do so.
Who can just do his dirty work for him. Based on what we see of Holt's
Dude,
Lex in the
is dead.
trailer, he's pretty traditional in his motivations. He sees himself as humanity's savior, the only guy smart enough to lead mankind into a new era. He doesn't like that the public has grown so enamored with Superman. He can't abide the thought of humanity looking into an outside force to save itself when it should be looking to Lex himself. Superman is living rent-free in this guy's head and he can't stand it. This Lex is so anti-Superman that he even refers to Kal-El as it.
He's not a man. He's an it.
Yo, that's
Lex
space
is clearly-
racism. That's legit just racism.
Going to great lengths to discredit the Man of Steel in this movie. It appears he may even be working with Argus, suggesting we'll see an alliance between Lex and Frank Grillo's Rick Flag Sr. At one point, we see Superman sharing a superhuman prison cell with Anthony Carrigan's Metamorpho and being beaten by prison guards. Apparently, Kal-El's political crisis grows dire enough that he's actually thrown in jail. All of this suggests that Holt is playing more of a supporting role in the film that fans might be expecting. Lex is ostensibly the main villain of the movie. He's Superman's greatest arch nemesis, and that's never gonna change, no matter how many times the DCU gets rebooted. But he seems to be working very indirectly in this film, relying on allies like the Engineer and Ultraman to do the actual fighting while he quietly works to tarnish the Man of Steel's reputation. Ultimately, Lex will probably still emerge as the final villain of Gunn's Superman, but more in a thematic and emotional sense, whereas Ultraman is the prime physical threat. The movie will almost surely culminate in Kal-El proving Lex wrong and reminding the world that kindness, decency, and hope still have a place in our cynical 21st century world. But don't expect the two to settle their differences with fisticuffs, and don't be surprised if Lex doesn't wind up in prison by the end, but rather sticks around to play as a recurring role in the DCU. His defeat will be an intellectual one and not necessarily a physical one. While the villains definitely hog most of the spotlight in this new trailer, it's worth taking a step back to examine the dynamic between Lois.
The thing about this movie, the thing about these trailers that I've been noticing a lot is that Lois Lane actually feels like a news reporter. You know, she's keeping her neutrality in nearly every situation. Sure, she's still favoring Superman, since, you know, the whole boyfriend thing, but she's keeping her neutrality as any good news reporter would normally do.
Lane and Clark Kent. The opening scene reveals that Lois already knows Clark's secret.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
I mean, it makes sense. If she's truly the intrepid, brilliant reporter she's made out to be, Lois really needs to be smart enough to see through Clark's flimsy human disguise. That opening scene is somewhat reminiscent of the one in 1978's Superman, where Margot Kidder's Lois interviews Christopher Reeve's Superman for the first time. But in this case, Gunn is downplaying the romantic tension in favor of allowing Lois to really grill Clark on the political fallout of Superman's actions. Again, she's a reporter first and a love interest second. On that note, it's just enough to wonder what the state of Lois and Clark's relationship is in this movie. In the comics, Clark only revealed his secret to Lois after they had already fallen in love, but here she has already figured it out. The tone of that interview scene suggests that the two are close friends, but not necessarily lovers yet. Though, as we see from their dramatic kiss later in the trailer, that'll apparently change over the course of the film. Gunn spoke about the Lois-Clark dynamic when IGN visited the set of the film in 2024, saying, quote, "It's a complicated relationship and we really get into it. And there's long scenes that are about their relationship and the way they relate and what it would be like for a person who's this incredibly intelligent, strong-headed, stubborn, skeptical journalist to have a relationship with someone who can lift a skyscraper." One thing is clear. Despite the fact that Superman will be contending with villains both human and monster in the movie, Gunn is intent on preventing Lois from falling into the same damsel in distress trap that she so often has in past Superman
Good. That same damsel in distress act over and over again just gets so damn boring. Can't we just have regular ass people that know that they're way out of their league? You know, when a superhero gets a normal human as their girlfriend or their boyfriend, can't they just make it so that this boyfriend or girlfriend knows full well that they shouldn't be in their boyfriend or girlfriend superhero's line of work because they're going to fucking die? So, you know, you gotta put a barrier between the two. You know, these two will always be like with each other, you know, they'll support each other personally and at home. But the second a supervillain shows up, the normal person needs to run the fuck away. Just run away. You have no business being there.
Adaptations.
What are you gonna do?
This is a
Punch him?
character who intellectually can hold her own against Superman every bit as easily as Lex Luthor.
I would question myself in the same
Bro,
situation
I'm not
and
an
consider
apple.
the consequences.
People were going to die.
I'm just
Who
that
do you
guy.
think is the real endgame villain of Gunn's Superman? Which epic superhero battle are you most excited to see? Let us know what you think in the comments. And for all things DCU, make sure you like and subscribe to IGN wherever you watch.
Nice. Also, how many villains are in James Gunn's Superman? How many villains? Holy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is a lot of villains for one Superman. 7. I didn't even add Lex Luthor. I thought that was Superman. We've got 7 villains in one movie. Superman can take them. Superman can do it.